see, my family, they're Jehovah's Witness, and
J-Dub.
Sorry. J-Dub.
J-Dub, sorry. It's silly.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
we were being goofy.
Well, ever since I was little, I kind of always questioned religion in a way.
Good for
and
you.
I think it was around when I was like 10, I asked my aunt a few questions and she couldn't answer them. And from there on, I just kind of went on just going, well, I mean, if they, what's the harm in there not being a God and me still being a good person, So I just went on not believing. And it took a while for me to tell my family.
Yeah.
Mostly because, like, every time they wanted to go to church, they would just, like, invite me, and I'd be like, I don't know how I feel about that. But,
to be clear,
yeah, at some point I had to tell them that these are not my beliefs, and I respect your beliefs, but these aren't my beliefs. And ever since then, I was just kind of excommunicated from, like, half of my family. And I was just wondering if there was a way I can somehow reestablish some sort of connection. I mean, just last year, Hurricane Maria kind of destroyed Puerto Rico, and my family lives out there. I offered them money to help rebuild their house. I offered them a bunch of stuff, but they just didn't want to hear me out just because of my beliefs. Yeah. I have a cousin who came out to the family as gay, and they kind of just excommunicated him. Now I don't even know about him because my family won't give me any information about him, even though they know where he is. They know, just because he's gay, they don't want to have anything to do with him. So they kind of just completely wiped him out from any communication with the family. And I was just curious if there's any sort of way that any insight you guys might have into reestablishing communication or, understanding between two different beliefs like that and still being okay,
Yeah, I do.
yeah. Do you want to?
I'm going to take the whole thing if I take it. You go ahead.
Well, my short bit is, I've realized how fortunate I've been in this respect because actually recently other members of my family they listen to it in podcast form. An episode of Talk Heathen, and I actually had I don't think I told you that I had an in-depth conversation where I got called out for being too mean to a caller.
I'm really happy to hear that happened. I'm really happy to hear that
wasn't
your family...
mean. Oh my God. No. Yeah, I don't know. This is a real heavy call, so I feel bad even smiling about anything. But sorry, to make a long ramble into a short, relevant statement, it's about appealing to their humanity as opposed to their religiosity. So instead of focusing on the beliefs, the only piece of advice that I would give, and take it with a grain of salt, because I didn't have to overcome the obstacles that you have to overcome in this regard, would be saying, look, you know me as a person, you were there when I was wearing diapers, and I don't know what it is with me and my family being able to say no, you were there and helped me learn how to walk. What about me is entirely different? You can't see that in me now because I still see you the way I see you.
And
but Eric probably has more.
Yeah, Jose.
Advice.
So
yes.
First off, brother, I can talk to you as a friend. I can talk to you as a fellow atheist who's in the community and cares about you as someone else in the community. I'm not a therapist. And I regularly go to therapy, and I highly suggest anybody watching goes to therapy, even if there's not a thing, because it's a great way to just continue to develop. And so if you haven't, I suggest you do. And I don't mean that. Some people take it in a really bad way, and it's actually really not. It's self-care. But there are a couple things that I've learned. And I'd be happy to share them with you if you're interested.
Yeah, sure.
So the first is, and it's hard, but you can't control them. And they need to own their actions, and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there may be people in your life that you may not be able to reconnect, and there's nothing that you're going to be able to do that can reconnect that. You know, live your best life.
Yeah.
You know, be happy and be good without God. And you know, in some circumstances, I've absolutely seen families turn around and be like, oh, hey, he's still a good guy. He's not eating babies. Hey, you know, do you want to come over for Thanksgiving? But I guess the question is, do you have any kids, Jose?
No, I'm 22, and
sure. Jose, are you planning on having kids?
At some point.
What kind of dad are you going to be, Jose? Are you going to be the kind of person who would...
an understanding father.
What about an uncle? As an uncle, well, how would you be to your nieces and nephews?
Well, I'd try to, you know, give the best advice, and by best advice, I mean, like, I won't try to sugarcoat things. I won't try to, you know, my best thing is, like, not to lie to the child in order to, you know, save him the how do I say it? Basically, like, you know, just not lie to them, just so in the future they find out I lied, and then I become an uncredible source, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I become some sort of, like, person that they can't trust with certain things because of, you know, in the past I have lied. I wouldn't want to be that kind of person.
Agreed. I think that's wonderful. Any time that I'm feeling down, I write it down, and what I decide to do is the same thing that I'm asking you to do, and that is, if you've got the time, what kind of man do you want to be? What kind of human do you want to be? What kind of brother? What kind of son? What kind of husband do you want to be if you want to get married? What kind of neighbor, and what do you want to do with it? Because we can't always control those people in our lives who are going to make those decisions, and they have to own it. But what we can do...
I just feel it's kind of unfair.
It is.
Because when I was little... Not towards my family, more towards the kids that I kind of grew up with in the congregation. There's a lot of the kids that I grew up with, I still have pictures of them, and I tried finding them on Facebook. But apparently my family informed all the other members of the congregation that I was no longer part of them. So I tried to regain communication with, childhood friends, mostly because when I was in Puerto Rico, when I was a little kid, the only friends I was allowed to have were Jehovah's Witness. My aunt, she told me, they're not your real friends if they're not Jehovah's Witness. So she wouldn't allow me to hang out with friends who didn't share the same belief. And I find it's kind of unfair that these children were indoctrinated into a religion, and basically their whole entire lives they were told, no, you can't talk to these people, you can't you can't befriend these people because they do not share your same beliefs. And it's just, I tried talking to a few of them, and they just ended up either not talking to me or trying to get me back into the religion. And I'm kind of, set in stone when I say I don't believe,
Don't ever look back. That's okay. And you have every right to be good without God. You can't always change the people. You can't always change the people who are
around you and what they're going to do.
You can't always change their reactions. But what you can do is empower yourself. And I urge you to. Take every example of something that's shitty that those people are doing and don't do it. Be the man, be the person that you want to see in the world. Make that change. And when you make that change, be an example for other people to follow. And in that way, you can make sure that you, in your part, can help make the world a place where that kind of thing doesn't happen to other people. And be proud of that. Be proud of what you're doing. You know, it isn't always something that works out, but we're working to make a community, and
as
you're
hard
part
as
of
we
that.
can. Yeah,
And
keep in touch.
I hope you do. I hope you keep in touch. I hope you reach out, because you know what, man? I don't care what other people have to say. I like you, Jamie likes you, and we definitely want to talk to you, because you know what? You are a cool guy, and you are good without God.
Yeah.
So don't doubt it, brother. And I'm sorry that you're going through such a hard situation. It's painful to see how, you know, people say, what's the harm in religion? And you see these...
It's right here. That's, I was waiting, because right now the only parts of my brain that are formulating lengthier, more connected ideas are, this is why religion, people need to recognize that it's a fucking dangerous thing. In particular, because I had a very recently, I had a very enlightening conversation as far as how a person who is very close to me, how many times can I say very in one rant before people notice it? A person who is very close to me that I've known my entire life, who said some very concerning things that I found very surprising. But before I get into all of those particular varies, I want to say, one, you're calling from North Carolina now. I don't know whether you live with your family, whether you're just there for school, whether you just graduated, whether you live from work.
I don't live with my family. I was basically, like, as soon as I was 18, they told me I had to, leave or basically conform. So I chose to stick to...
Was that after they knew that you didn't believe?
Yeah, basically, my mother, she knew I didn't believe, and she was kind of, she was very stubborn about it. And it's like, it's not about you. It's like how I've understood, the reality of what, my life, my experience has led me to this conclusion. Your life might have left you with a totally different perspective, Yeah. But, can't we try to respect each other for the meantime? And she tried. And as soon as I was 18, she just told me, she couldn't live under the same roof with someone who differed in beliefs. So I kind of had to leave.
Well, we're happy you're calling in.
Have you been able to be in touch with your family at all since then?
Just my mother. That's the only one. She would never let me live in her house ever again, and I know that for a fact. She's told me multiple times, but she's the only one who would actually talk to me.
Jose, thank you for calling. Thank you for sharing your story, and
keep in touch, because
be strong, brother. You know how to get in touch with us, right?
Yeah.
We pimp ourselves all the time.
Oh yeah,
right?
Definitely. I've been watching you guys for a while. Definitely, enjoy the insight. Every time I watch you guys, it seems to validate my beliefs, or it kind of just I would say,
well, we're glad we can.
It only makes my opinion that much more.
Justified.
I'm kind of at a loss for words.
That's okay.
Yeah. No,
that's okay.
I think we've got the gist of where you're going.
Yeah.
It's hard to find the words. It's very hard to find the words. That's why there's not a million of these shows.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate everything that you guys do.
Thank you. We appreciate you, brother. Keep in touch.
And we do this.
We do want to check in on you. Yeah. We do want to hear how things are going in your life. So you better call back if anything.
Brother way. But quick before you get off, I do have something more substantial to say. I know usually when I interrupt, it's like, hey, look, a pineapple.
Go.
But, I would say, because you sound like a person who above average amongst our callers could benefit from being able to get in contact with other local non-believers and nuns and whatever. N-O-N-E, obviously. I don't know any N-U-N nuns. Those are all vicious rumors that are lies and slander. But that doesn't read as comedy, damn it. Anyway, because presumably if you're going to be in North Carolina, presumably there's other non-believers in North Carolina that can also reach out to us and you can get in touch with them. I don't know what your situation is locally as far as friend groups, support groups, etc.
Definitely, if you haven't called the Recovering from Religion Foundation, call the Recovering from Religion Foundation. They're fucking amazing.
And if you're wondering how to be a heathen now that you don't have the kind of religion that doesn't afford you a birthday, even, there's a, do we want to say the How to Heretic podcast? They're pretty good.
Oh, they're amazing. We can plug whoever the hell we want.
Yeah. You can't tell me not to say a thing. You've tried before and it fails, Eric. God.
If you
the How to Heretic podcast. I don't know if you listen to podcasts. There's one called Talk Heathen. It's great, but there's also one called the How to Heretic podcast. It's I think 2 ex-Mormons.
Yes.
And they talk about stuff.
They're
they talk
amazing.
about how when they became ex-Mormons, they didn't know how to alcohol, and that can be really friggin' dangerous really fast.
And I'm just putting this out there. It's 1-844, I doubt it. That's 1-844-368-2848.
And
it's not just you, Jose. It's for anybody else who's listening who doesn't have a community, who wants to be able to find somebody nearby or just wants somebody to talk to, somebody to listen. It is a wonderful resource for tons and tons of that. The Secular Therapy Project works through that. And we definitely would absolutely support everything that they go through. So if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. It's the recoveringfromreligion.org, Recovering from Religion Foundation, 1-844-368-2848. Jose, thank you for calling in, man. We really appreciate it. We're happy to talk.
Yeah, thank you.
And
I really
keep in
appreciate
touch.
everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You take care.
Will do.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Godless
good fortune to you. Oh, you already hung up.
We actually, I've actually read stories about Mormon families, especially in FLDS. When a boy hits 18, they give him bus fare to LA with pamphlets for where the homeless shelters are. Happy 18th.
Yep, that's why it's something like.
It's wild. We're actually getting comments right now in the live YouTube comments of people saying, I
think there's like a whole.
Yeah, I have family who are J-dubs and they don't know my children. It happens, and we're happy when we see people whose families accept them, but that's not always the case. And when that's not the case, we got to remember and we got to see that there really is danger. There really is something wrong with a system that's going to tell you you're broken and sell you a crutch.
Yeah. Actually, this is the perfect time for me to make the point that I was going to make. Recently, I had a conversation, a very, very, very surprising conversation with a person who's there's an extra very for each very set now. Watch out. 1.5 times the varies of before. A very, very, very surprising conversation with a person who's very, very, very close to me, where they said, amongst other things, because they are Christian, no, because Jesus wasn't pro-family. He broke up families. And in their words, and sometimes that's necessary because this. And at the time, very, very, very recently, I didn't really have the heart to challenge them, in part because I wasn't on camera, and it was just a conversation between me and a person who is admittedly very, very, very close to me, to tell them, well, that's fucking bullshit. Another part of this conversation included them saying, and you know what, it doesn't matter what you believe or what you do, them speaking to me, I'm always gonna have this relationship with you, we're always gonna be close. And in that same conversation, and Jesus, this God that I worship and think is great, that I bend the knee to more than once a week, broke up families, and sometimes that's necessary.
It is. And it's in the Holy Bible.
Cognitive dissonance within 1 minute.
And it's baked in.
I'm not usually mad on the show.
No, it's okay. It's okay to be mad at that, man. In Matthew, Jesus says to
In many of the Matthews I know,
two
the
of the
digestive
disciples,
process takes place.
come and I will make you fishers of men, and they leave their families to go and follow Jesus.
That
right?
was
that
an example.
Right?
Yeah, one of those of those people is named James, which was brought up in the conversation because James is my given name.
Andrew. But anyway.
Well, there's another one where
yeah.
No. Okay, they may have been wrong. I don't know.
It's all good.
They do weekly Bible study, but you know it better than them, probably.
Probably not. I'm happy to be proven wrong.
If we're going statistically, you don't believe. Therefore, it's more likely that you know.
I do want to.